What's up, big one? So I think everybody here is aware, not only internationally, nationally, locally, about the extraordinary effect of the economic situation on business, on individual homes, everything. So we have a situation where we have to cut at least 20 million. So next year, not this school year, but for the next upcoming school year, we'll have to have 20 million less in expenditure. So how do you do that when year after year after year we've already been cutting? When you have these values and these principles, you have to be really clear. Principles, P-L-E-S, like this is the things I believe. So we have to get even more clear about what it is we believe, and this is where community organizing is crucial. We need clarity from our governing board and the leadership and governance team that I'm part of. So the 7 electeds and myself form really the leadership team of this district. We have to be ironclad in our commitment to these core principles of, if it's site-based decision-making through this results-based budgeting and believing that people closest to the action are the best to make the decisions about how to spend their money, then we have to organize ourselves that way. We have to clarify those principles and then discuss the trade-offs. There are going to be trade-offs when you are cutting yet another $20 million. So how do we handle those trade-offs, and then how do we stand firm together once we make a decision about what we're going to fund? So I hold deeply that the principals are the people closest who need to be responsible for that. So how do we organize the system? What though do we have to hold centrally in order to take some of the pressure off? I mean, we have to have these conversations. I've talked about this a lot, about how principals need to be engaged. So part of my listening campaign is literally with principals and engaging and sitting with principals, and I will do that at least monthly where it's just me and the principals. So, I mean, literally building individual relationships. Every Tuesday and Friday during the year, I'll be in school sites in the morning. So I think I can't do this job unless I'm in relationship, in particular, with people in schools. I go in classrooms, so I know what's happening in each classroom, know young people, sit with young people and talk to them. I'll be going and eating the food, and so I don't actually know what it's like here yet, but I will. And so I believe deeply that the people at the school site and in the local community are best positioned to make these decisions. But I also know that we have to figure out how to do this together. That in a time of diminishing resources, how do we actually be interdependent and share responsibility? And what do we kind of think different about, whether it's attendance clerks held centrally and we have a central pool of something that we share among all schools? We're going to have that whole thing in a lot of conversations, because it's going to be hard. And the whole thing about schools, I mean, there's an extraordinary number of schools in this district for staff and students. So what's the, quote, right size? That's been a term that a lot of people have been talking to me about, right sizing the district. But for me, it's about what's the best educational option for our children. And then how do we fund that? So the question about site-based decision-making, ultimately, as a person who's responsible for the well-being of children, I think about myself as the chief advocate for children in this community, as a superintendent of schools, and really as a lead organizer for the purpose of getting all of the adults in this community in service of kids and families. So my job around these upcoming cuts is to organize, get people together, and make sure that people close to the sites are making decisions that are best in service to kids. That's going to be hard work, but we all have to work together.